everyone, I'm Dre, the host and founder of the Dragon Network, an online member-based community where health IT professionals can share ideas, experiences, and collaborate with one another on all things related to healthcare IT. On this channel, I take some of the topics and conversations that we're having inside the network and share them in case they help you in your healthcare IT journey. So in today's video, I'd like to talk about the Prosci Organizational Change Management methodology. So Prosci was founded in 1994 by an individual by the name of Jeffrey Hyatt, and it's based out of Fort Collins, Colorado. It is one of the more popular change management methodologies that's utilized in the healthcare IT space, and there are a number of professionals from a consulting perspective as well as from an analyst perspective that are Prosci certified, including myself. So there are a couple different aspects to the model, and I'm not going to go over all of them here. If you are interested in learning more about what those are, I'll put the link to the Prosci website in the description below so you can do a little bit more research. But for today, I'd like to talk about the ADKAR framework, or ADKAR. So ADKAR is the awareness of the need for change, the desire to support the change, the knowledge of how to change, the ability to demonstrate skills and behaviors, and reinforcement to make that change stick. So when we look at awareness, the model actually looks at 5 different factors that are influencing an individual's awareness of change. So first is their view of the current state. Do they view the current state favorably? Are they happy and invested and committed to maintaining that current state? Or are they dissatisfied with what it looks like and they're ready to move on? The second is how they perceive problems. So in general, do individuals look at problems as challenges and opportunities for them to do things, or are they looking at them as threats and something that's going to negatively impact the way that they actually perform their work? Third factor that's going to play in from an awareness perspective is an individual's opinion on the credibility of the individuals that are providing the message. The next one is the prevalence of rumors or misinformation that may be taking place within the department, within the area, or within the overall organization. So these can certainly become factors as to whether or not the awareness is fully understood. And the last factor that we want to consider is how easy is it to challenge the reasons that are being provided for the change to occur. So overall, these 5 factors are going to influence an individual's general level of understanding and their readiness for accepting change. Throughout the Prosci model, it's important to keep these in mind as you're developing your communication and as you're responding to some of the issues that may come up. These are really focused around individuals, but can sometimes be applied to a larger group as well. In order for a change to be successful, the individuals that are participating in the change or that are the recipients of the changed behavior actually need to want the change to occur. There has to be some sort of desire or drive or intent for that end state to become their reality. So when considering desire, individuals will look to see how the change is going to impact them personally, whether or not they're going to have to do things differently on their day-to-day, or whether it's something that's just going to occur in the periphery and that they need to be aware of, but they're not actually going to be directly impacted by, as well as the personal circumstances that are at play during the time of change. And by personal circumstances, what Prosci is actually referring to is not necessarily the circumstances that are in the work environment, but circumstances that are in an individual's life. So if we take a look at COVID, for example, a global pandemic is putting a stress on individuals just in their normal day-to-day lives. There are pressures on the outside that are actually coming into play with COVID that are going to make change and change management activities much more difficult during this time than we would normally see. The knowledge component of the ADKAR model actually has several different layers, which involve an understanding of the roles and responsibilities that are necessary for the change to occur, understanding and training associated with how to actually perform the future state. What does that future state look like? Are there changes in the workflow that I need to be aware of? What different functionalities within systems do I need to consider? As well as knowledge of new skills or behaviors that need to come into play. And this knowledge of new skills and behaviors is actually going to help drive sort of momentum towards the change and get some of that crowd mentality behind things. So it's not necessarily the functional knowledge of how do I hands-on keyboard do something, but it's more of the conceptual knowledge around what's going on, how is this happening, why is it happening, that's associated with the function as well as those roles and actions. So the second A in ADKAR stands for ability. And this is really an understanding of the individual's capacity or capabilities for implementing the change and achieving that desired end state. So in order for the organizational change management effort to be successful, you need to make sure that the individuals who are changing have the ability to change and that there's not anything sort of impeding that path. So for example, if there are requirements along the way for people to speak in public and they're petrified of public speaking, that may be a barrier to your change. Also, understanding whether there are any resource capacity issues that are coming into play, either to develop the change or to implement the change, or even to support the change. The final element in the ADKAR model is reinforcement. This is actually going to help to make sure that the change is successful, that things that are implemented are actually going to stay in place, and that there's a level of comfort for all those that are participating and all those that are actually within the future state. So reinforcement in the ADKAR model is similar to that of other change management models, where you want to reinforce with positive messaging, and really that you're focusing on not just implementing a change and walking away from it, but on implementing things and then spending some time to make sure that it really quote unquote sticks. So ADKAR is an organizational change management methodology that's really focused on understanding change at an individual level or a personal level. So there are opportunities to apply the model to a larger group, but it is really focused on that individual. Some may find that they have challenges implementing this in a very, very large organization or for something that is a significant transformation, but it's helpful from a day-to-day or a small change effort perspective, or even things that are very contained as far as scope and process goes, such as a minor application upgrade. It's important to understand that Prosci, and specifically the ADKAR methodology, is not meant to be a one-size-fits-all approach. It is something that is, again, as I mentioned, focused on the individual or on a small subset of people. So you will want to make adjustments through the process as you go, and you do really need to understand that there might be several different mechanisms and several different approaches that you're going to take. It's not a process where you would just simply define everything, document it all, and go ahead and execute against it. It is meant to be iterative and somewhat fluid because it is targeting individuals as they work their way through a change from the initial awareness perspective to that implementation and reinforcement. So this was a very quick overview of the ADKAR model. If you do want to learn more about Prosci, again, I'll put that link below, and there's a ton of documentation out there. I hope that the video was helpful and that you join me again next time.